And we're live. Luckily, if I fall over at this point and fall in the mud, no one will notice. I'm sure I could just start again. Oh. But good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's make way past the pony having his breakfast. There it is. Oop, nearly dropped my cone. Trying to get through this field as always. Oh, good afternoon to you, my friend. Crowban, I think it was, yeah, Crowban. Welcome to the stream. Good morning. You join me on a very not so windy, but a very wet day out here in Yorkshire, the best part of the UK, bar none. But yes, welcome, one and all. I'll tell you what. Last week I said, winter is truly here. Well, it's really here today. Whew. But yes, what are we going to talk about? Well, what are we going to talk about, as always? We're going to start off with America as normal, because oh boy, has it been kicking off there. So, as you may remember last week, obviously Trump got admitted because he had the old Rona, as they like to call it, the C-19, and it was very, very clear Trump was going to have it bad, because Trump, as others have said, he's like the cheeseburger president. There ain't two ways you can really cut it. He is overweight and physically just completely unhealthy. So it was only a matter of time until he was going to catch it. And we said this last week. There's a very strange correlation between all the world leaders who have taken COVID seriously versus the ones that haven't. So, or Boris got it, Bolsonaro got it, and finally Trump's got it. So you can pretty much say that all the world leaders that have taken COVID seriously haven't got it, whereas the ones that have just taken it for a laugh, called it, fake, because that's not a clip that's going to come back and constantly haunt Donald Trump for some time to come about that. And of course, being the president, he gets free healthcare. So I found it the absolute peak of hilariousness that Donald Trump goes, "Oh yeah, we're going to make sure that this medicine that we're on is." Oh, Guten Morgen from someone from Hamburg. Guten Morgen, back to you, sir. It's the peak of, especially to me, like someone from the UK, of where Trump's going, oh yeah, we're going to make all these medications available that he's been on. So what is it? I was going to call it Rohypnol then, but no, it's Ronazole or something like that he had, or something like that that he's been pumped full of. And I think if you look at the drug itself, it costs at least in the couple of thousands for for at least just one batch. But of course, he's the president of the US, so he gets free healthcare. Of course, thousands of Americans who have died from COVID never got that free healthcare, and never got and could have never, in a month of Sundays, afforded the amount of drug cocktails that Trump has been able to have access to. And it's absolutely unbelievable that, you know, he just doesn't get that, or just doesn't understand. But you know, that's Trump. Exactly. Free healthcare sounds like socialist to me. Yeah, exactly. You know, I know about 3 Americans. I met one at uni. I know one through JCI, and someone else I've met through work, and they all tell me the exact same similar story of when they first came to like the UK to like either live, like either through one was through marriage and the other was going to university and eventually works here, and so does the other one. They were all like, well, we're really worried about actually interacting with your social healthcare, because in America they are pretty much almost from like birth primed that you know, the whole socialized medicine, as they call it, the big boogeyman, is going to come for them, and then it's going to actually hurt them in, I don't know, some other way. And there's all this, you know, constant propaganda against it, even though one of the most you know, the most wealthiest nation on the planet, you know, can't afford to take care of its citizens. Speaks volumes, really. But again, that's the US for you. But they all had, again, that same story of they were all really frightened to take into it, and now, upon having access to it, they've all said the same thing. You know, don't let this go. Don't let it. You fall into the, you know, the privatized nightmare that our system is in. And that's obviously the big worry for me, that's the direction that especially Boris and co and friends are going to want to take it. Because we'll get into the track and trace notifications later on, definitely. But it's been absolutely ridiculous. Oh, good morning. Good morning back to you. Good morning, everyone else. Yeah, someone just said, I just saw, yeah, an ordinary American would have been bankrupt by Trump's bill of what he'd just been in the hospital. Yeah, they would. Of course, the number one cause for bankruptcies in America is healthcare. Which again speaks volumes about, you know, I suppose the priorities, shall we say, of much of the political establishment, shall we say, of the of America. Of course, we missed out last time talking about the presidential debate, and oh boy, did we expect anything less. Basically, it was hilarity on both ends. You then pretty much got the vice presidential debate as well, which I think was more civilized. Certainly a lot more civilized than the presidential debate. And very, very obvious that let me say her name correctly, Kamala Harris, very, very obvious to me that at least she is president in waiting, and that it seems to me Biden's going to do like one term as president, and then she's going to stand in his place. And it seems to be what they're going for, seems to be what they're pushing for in that direction, in that arena. She definitely seems to be an okay sort of candidate, but like I said, I'm sure other people tell me that she has problems, but I'll tell you what, she might have her problems, but she's a damn sight better than another 4 years of Trump. But we've also heard very interesting rumours that Trump wants to build a political dynasty, hence why he's had sort of Ivanka and there we go. He's had like Trump, Ivanka, and like his sons involved with in like the whole presidential thing, so that he can sort of create a political dynasty, so that Ivanka can run, and that Jared can maybe run as well, and maybe his son's Don Jr. But we'll have to see. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully the world's had enough, shall we say, of the Trump family for just one of them having the reins of power that they'll never get anywhere near again. But there you go. Also, his candidate pick for Supreme Court, another interesting pick. Apparently that was what what's his name now? Fanucci, the head scientist, has come out and said that was pretty much like a super spreader event, and has said that might have been where Trump got it from. Obviously, the incubation period for it is about 2 weeks before it hits, so it does fit in that very interesting timeline. Oh yeah, the fly on the head the fly on the head in his presidential debate. That was quite funny as well. Also, the fact that he might have pink eye as well, which apparently is another potential indicator that he might have COVID. And someone else, I think it's been said elsewhere, you've got a case now where there's more active cases of COVID in the White House than there is in New Zealand. But then that's not surprising, really. It was bound to happen, given, shall we say, his predication for trying to significantly downplay the virus. And even after, I don't know if you saw his like post speech, and you can tell that he's breathing heavily. You can tell that he's still got it. This whole thing of he's desperate to try and prove that he hasn't got it and that he's well, and he might be immune. I don't know. You're just like, no, you're not immune, you idiot. It's because he was high on whatever concoction of drugs that he's been pumped with. And you've got what is it now? Obviously, like, the second week of like coronavirus is like the worst out of all of them. So it's going to be funny to see all the Trumpites who have been saying, "Oh my God, isn't Trump amazing, 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 amazing?" Because as we all know, one of the core things of fascism is that the leader is some sort of above godlike hero. He is above the ordinary man and people. And this entire political stunt, again recently, with all the him coming out of like the COVID without a mask, him doing the whole car thing while he was at the hospital, it smacks very, very much of North Korea. I don't know if anyone else was getting that vibe as well, but that's where Trump is now. He's basically imitating Kim Jong-il. It's just like, okay. But unbelievable. But that's bizarrely where America is now. Also, the presidential debate. They were going to change the format of the presidential debate so that it was online. And you're like, okay, yeah, I get that. I understand that. One of the candidates has COVID-19. It's highly infectious, which is why it's so, gone around the world so fast and swept through so many populations as quickly as it has done. And Trump in his usual, bravado, just turns around and just says, I'm not going to go and do it. And you're like, whoa, 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 hold on. Because I didn't know this. The presidential debates are organised by a bipartisan committee of both like Republicans and Democrats. So this isn't a Republican or Democrat that's controlling it. It's two of the different sides that are going, oh hey, yeah, we're gonna change the format to this so that it's safer for our for our current president and potential president. It makes sense. Obviously Trump immediately turns around and refuses to do it because he doesn't want his microphone turned off. And quite frankly, if I was Chris Wallace in that last debate, I would have definitely turned his microphone off because, as a moderator, you do have that power. And, it was fun, Chris Wallace in that first presidential debate, threatening Trump to, can you please be, civil and let Biden speak, or else I'll do nothing. But yeah, money's on this week. Trump probably being rushed back to hospital, and that is going to be funny trying to watch all the Trump supporters and all the shall we say the reactionaries on YouTube that are pretty much supporters of Trump try and explain that one, especially when they've been putting out so much material that he's immune and some sort of COVID Superman. He's not. It's because he's had so much access to essentially free healthcare. And as we said at the beginning, that speech was so hypocritical of him to say that when, the average American, as we said before, gets bankrupt by healthcare bills. And, it is essentially, the system in America, especially for healthcare, is just completely unbroken. It might be one of the best healthcare systems in the world, but having access to it is a completely different story. And thank God I live in the UK, especially for that. And, it was something that we in the UK have to continue to fight for to keep free. Because I'm also sure that you've seen recently the absolute hilarity that our wonderful, shall we say, Serico NHS track and trace system, because that's who's running it, Serico, not the NHS. So when they try and blame the NHS for these failings, it's a private company that's failed on this. And it, once again, as we have seen throughout all this disaster in the UK, that essentially privatising our healthcare system is just not going to work. Simple as. And obviously the entire track and trace system was kept on an Excel spreadsheet. What? How? I don't understand how this happened, but for those of you who may or not know, who may or not be British, the UK has a wonderful, fantastic track record of, should we say, IT projects failing, and not only just failing, in a normal way, but failing in the absolutely most spectacular way possible. And this is just one example. Do you know why the whole Excel spreadsheet failed? This gets really interesting when you find out this. So, for those of you who don't know, a couple of years ago, Microsoft did a massive update to Office 365. And because they did that, your Excel spreadsheet can now run into like the billions upon billions of cells. However, old Microsoft Excel could only hold, I think it was something about like 5 billion cells. And of course, we've had well over more cases than that. So essentially, whenever they put more cells in, what's happened is that those have just been knocked off. Oh, good morning there. Oh, good morning to all the other people that are joining us as well. So all those other cells that they've put in have just knocked off. Yeah, that was it. Sarah's spreadsheet was 2007 Excel. So because it was the old version and there was just so many cases, every time they put a new one in, it was just knocking old ones off. So there were a load of people who should have been contacted by Sarah's track and trace system that were never contacted. And we are now seeing the results of this. And we're looking at a potential northern lockdown, which is going to absolutely devastate the North's economy and put it even further on its knees. You know, we've said this before, the North is in absolute desperate need of serious investment and serious talk about bringing businesses and investment into the area, and it's never been done. And it's absolutely insane that it never has. This is why, I've said in the past, one of the best Tory plans that was ever brought forward, the idea of the Northern Powerhouse, brought forward by George Osborne. And I'm serious about saying that. It was the best thing the Tories have probably ever done or even suggested this idea. It would have been a targeted investment fund, a targeted idea and plans to bring jobs and stuff to the North. Except that's not what happened. Instead, all we ended up getting, if you are in Leeds, you got a new, you got a new train station exit. And that was it. That was the Northern Powerhouse. But we still are in desperate need of that. And it just goes to show you, and one of the things that the coronavirus has shown is just how fragile the North's, industry and stuff is. Because I say this with sincerity. The North is still affected from the deindustrialization of like the 60s and 70s and 80s. Parts of the North are still affected by the miners' strike and the disaster that caused. We're still affected by the 2008 financial crash. Wages are a lot lower here than they are in the rest of the country. A lot more people are poorer in this part of the UK compared to the rest. Nothing's just been done. But it's, we've got the spaniels. Oh, hello. Oh. Oh, morning. Oh. There we are. Oh, they're such nice dogs. But where were we? Yes. So we're still affected by the 2008 financial crisis. So now you've got to add not only the recession on top of that the coronavirus has caused, and then soon, I've said it before in this week's videos. Hopefully, this week we are going to see a lot of action on the Brexit front this week. Now, I do generally think that Boris is going to have to want to get a deal. He has to get a deal. If he doesn't get a deal, he looks like an absolute muppet. He spent an entire campaign saying that he had a deal and that it was ready to go, and it would be easy to do. You've got all the Brexiteers from Leave campaign saying exactly the same thing about how wonderful it was going to be. It's going to be simple. You've got all these new, Northern MPs saying, vote for us because we'll, get Brexit done with Boris's deal. And yet, here you have an absolute, cracker of a situation where the EU is not going to compromise on its, on its negotiating line. It's been very clear from that. If you want access to the single market, you have to follow the rules. And we are looking at an absolute insane situation. And I keep on saying this because it's something that people have got to get around their heads. The UK has done what they call a rollover deal with Japan, which is not a proper full trade deal. Will basically fulfill what's left of the EU's quota, essentially. So that will change year on year. Hang on. Oh, yep. So that will change year on year as to what that will mean. So that means even if you do trade with Japan, it's going to be completely random as to what you're going to be charged for a tariff rate. So that just makes UK businesses trying to trade with Japan even worse. Not only that, but we've signed up to... Oh, hang on. It's absolutely... I'll wait here a bit. Just absolutely tipping it down. I don't know if you can see on camera. Don't know if you can see. No, you probably can't do. But I'll tell you what, we'll risk it. We'll risk it. But one of the big sticking points with the EU is that we are refusing to sign up to their state aid rules. Now, their state aid rules are basically... Oh, hello. Oh. We've got a dog joining us. So we've got, state aid rules. Yeah, so state aid rules, they are basically, the government can decide that whatever in Excel industry, be it IT, engineering, I'm just trying to think, coal, that type of industry, pick an industry, and the government can essentially say, we're going to subsidise it. Now, essentially that means that local industries have a massive advantage over foreign competitors, which is the whole point. It's to basically stimulise, local industries. The problem is that some industries need it more than others, and some industries abuse it more than others. And the EU basically wants to know what we're going to do in that area. We haven't. This is another one of the big sticking points when it comes to like rules and regulations. The EU are asking us, what are you going to do regarding future regulations? And our negotiating team has just turned around and just gone, that is not how you should be negotiating with your future trading partners. It's absolutely insane. Imagine if you were going to go into business with someone and say, okay, I'm going to do this and this. What are you going to do? And then them turn around and saying, well, I'm not sure. I might wait until the business is open to decide. That's the bizarre situation while what we're trying to do. And I always try, and especially on this channel, to bring it something like that so that people can actually see some of the stuff. Of course, one of the big fights that's about to happen is the UK farmers lose their farm subsidies that they get from the EU every year. And right from the very beginning, the Leave campaign turned around and said, yes, don't worry, we will replace your farm subsidies and we will give you something else. And it's not only that as well, but other places, like you saw Cornwall, who got a load of money and development funds from the EU. They've turned around to the national government and said, yeah, when are we going to get our money that you said was going to, materialise for us? Of course, they haven't said anything about it at all. It's just not going to materialise. The new town fund that was announced is pretty much just a joke. It pretty much amounts to towns getting like £50 extra on their bill. It's nothing to what they lose from having access to the EU grants, the development funds, the business stuff that they have access to. And it's absolutely insane. And as someone said there, the Tories are not fans of subsidising. But I guarantee you a lot of these Tories are mysteriously going to become fans next year because they're going to want to support certain industries. I'm guessing that because Dominic Cummings, if you've ever, something that you should read is go and track down Dominic Cummings' old blogs, because they are quite fun to read. And of course, Dominic Cummings is a massive fan of big tech and trying to get new tech developments. In fact, Dominic Cummings, in one of his weird blogs, wrote, it's for the whole town, not per person. That's just it. It's yeah. So it's absolutely going to be insane. Dominic Cummings wanted essentially to set up a UK Apple. That's what he says will somehow, quote, save the UK and bring it into this new, quote, digital age. But there you go. That's crazy Dominic Cummings sitting somewhere in Downing Street going, but there you go. It's absolutely crazy. And you've got to wonder what do we do as citizens. And it basically boils down to, as always, is being politically active, knowing what's going on in Parliament, in the House of Lords, etc., etc. Oh yeah, that was another thing that happened this week. A new Tory House of Lord appointee basically got awarded a contract without tender, and of course that's another thing that's going to explode probably next year. What is it? Hashtag scandals to come for all these Tory contracts for companies that, in this case, was literally 4 weeks old. So somehow a company that is 4 weeks old got a contract to create, pandemic supplies. But what we are, that's where we are. And I generally am speechless because you've just got to think of we told people this. We told people this would happen. Rishi Sunak's new economic plans, as was mentioned this week by his Labour counterpart, the Labour Shadow Chancellor, should I say. And basically turned around and just said, it's what you're imposing is Thatcherism. But, and people in the north should be very, very, very well, very, 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 very well aware of what happened when, Margaret Thatcher took over and implemented her plans and pretty much just took all the industry away from the north and just left it to rot. And of course, their wonderful plan of sending people who were unemployed in Newcastle down the sewers to clean it without being paid, or else if you don't get that, if you don't do that, you don't get your benefits. Might that come back? Possibly, but and a lot of people in Sunderland and the north, especially around the Nissan area, probably about to lose their jobs. Which again, not it's not good for them. But hey, we did tell you, if you vote for Brexit, this is what will happen, and they didn't listen. Anyway, we're gonna. It's absolutely tipping it down still. I was hoping that it might let off a bit, but we might just have to go for it. I think, yeah. Or we could be standing here for some time. So here we go. Oh. Yeah, it is already happening. Yeah, universal credit has been an absolute Tory disaster. Of course, that's William Hague's child. And it would have been an absolute justice for him to lose his seat last election, but unfortunately he didn't. He's still there, but maybe next time. And of course, this is something that Labour should be really looking at, because one of the big things with universal credit, with obviously them lumping everything into now one payment, is that obviously there is a cap on how much benefits you're allowed to receive, and obviously if you're now receiving that in one big lump payment, well, if you're at that threshold, even though you need that help and that support, well, tough luck for you. Oh, hang on. So much water on the screen. Yeah, it's absolutely tipping it down. This might be a shorter walk than normal today, because it's absolutely dripping. Hang on. We're just going to rest my phone here, hopefully. Just trying to find somewhere to rest it. Tell you what. So we'll just put it there. There we go. So yeah, as someone just said, I think it was Dude there said, it's an absolute, absolute clusterfuck. Minimum, not minimum wage, universal credit at the moment. Nope. Obviously, for the pandemic, Sunak raised it by about £20 an extra a week, which was a massive sum, and good for him for at least supporting people. The only thing is that he's now decided that they're not entitled to that anymore. And he's of course going to probably reduce it to even less. This is one of the things that the Tories have been priming people for throughout all this, is that it's the poor that don't want to work. It's the poor that are on furlough. It's them who are refusing to go back to work when there are we're in a pandemic. There are unsafe conditions here. They're worried about families. And we talked about this last week about Sweden. Sweden, to begin with, didn't have a stricter lockdown, precautions in place. But society-wise, they had so much more, stuff in place to help people who did get the coronavirus. So when they were off work, they actually got supported. And if they did lose their job from it like that, there's unemployment insurance, and there's a ton of stuff that people in the Nordic countries have access to, that just they just did it. And it's just their system, it was their benefit system that helped them, that helped them keep open for as long as they did. And now they are instituting regional and looking at lockdown measures, and they did put in social distancing and masks and all that stuff So there's a lot of people who said, oh, we should have just followed what Sweden have done. Well, that's not necessarily true. It's because Sweden is a lot more, socially coherent. If you lose your job in Sweden, you have access to unemployment insurance, which means that you still, for I think it's about a year, you still receive, I think it's 70% of your wage. If you're on universal credit, if that happens to you, and your savings are above, 16 grand, you can forget it. Absolutely forget it. As we see, we've got someone simping for, the libertarian version of Sweden, which doesn't exist. I'm sure if he went to Sweden and actually understood the benefit system and the social protective nets and the safety nets that are in place in Sweden, I'm sure he would run a mile. That's not surprising. Absolutely tipping it down now. Oh, it's letting off now. It's kind of weird. It's kind of that fine rain where you can feel it coming down, but you can't see it. Nope. But of course, I am expecting something this week to happen with Brexit negotiations. There has to be, because Boris wants a deal. He absolutely does. Despite what he may say about no deal being fine, it would be an absolute disaster for him, and his entire party knows it. So there will be some sort of deal, and there will be some sort of climb down this week from Boris. The right-wing press will spin it as some sort of Boris masterful negotiating victory. Ain't gonna happen like that. Ain't gonna happen like that at all. But yeah, there has to be something that happens this week, because if no deal happens now, it's just going to plunge us even into a worse situation. So, and Boris will look like an absolute fool. And I tell you what, him departing at Christmas suddenly becomes a lot more likely if no deal does happen. But on the likelihood of a deal happening, I'd say there's probably about a 60%, I'd say 75%, yeah. Let's be reasonable. There's a 75% chance of a no deal happening. Oh no, of a deal happening, not a no deal, sorry. So there's a 75% chance of a deal happening, because he really does need a deal, despite what all these Brexiteers are running around saying, like, oh, we can, no deal, be fine. No, it won't. It really won't. In this case, the economists have already spoken, and we've already seen the government's own analysis of what will happen. And the Conservative number on it is that we lose 8% of our GDP. And that is a massive, massive amount of our GDP suddenly to just disappear. But, it's, we told you that's what would happen if you voted, and well, looks like that's what happens. Oh, there we go. On in. It's just very, very muddy here. There we go. We get past it. There we go. So I'm trying to think what else has happened this week. Because I do often do this, like off the top of my head, and I do tend to forget things. Have we missed anything that's happened this week that I've missed out? I'm not sure. we've covered Serica, we've covered Trump. Yeah. I'm trying to think now. I'm generally trying to think of what else happened this week. Like I say, on the Brexit front, nothing has happened. I mean, obviously, Gove headed over this week with Frost, and of course, nothing happened. I was expecting something to happen, but nothing happened. And we're still in the exact same scenario that happened. There you go. And Boris is going to have a climb down. He really is. You know, the whole thing about fishing, of, you know, oh, we're going to keep the fishing as it is, and then we'll revisit it in 3 years. All you know, that was one of his you know, suggestions, and it's just like, all you've done is kick the can down the road. This is why the EU have said, in these, like, the withdrawal agreement negotiations, we want to discuss this first, get this locked down first, then we can go and discuss the other stuff later. This is why they've been so desperate and been talking about going into the tunnel. But the withdrawal agreement, you know, you have the internal market bill, which is going to, you know, destroy our international treaty, because that's what the withdrawal agreement is. It's an international treaty. But there you go. Ooh, also, I've got a treat coming up for you as well. You may remember, we were reading, what is it, Brexit and How We Won, from a very patriotic, shall we say, gammon. We will be continuing that exploit. We're going to go with the basically go through the final chapter, because I tried rereading it the other night, and I'm just like, this guy was just writing blogs and just a constant stream of consciousness, and it's just like, we'll read the final chapter, and then we'll be done with it then. But yes, thank you to all the people who are joining us again today. Good morning, welcome to you. Please do hit that like button. If you are new, do hit the subscribe button as well. We do talk about British politics and of course Brexit a lot, and that's not going to leave us, trust me, for, oh dear, there we go, for the jump. We go for some significant time. And thank you to all the people who are currently my patrons on Patreon. It's very much appreciated, the support that you give me. Also, there's links down below should you like to support me, become a Patreon. And of course, there is a one-off donation link down there as well, should you like to just, you know, pass a tip. You know, give me a coffee to warm my cockles when I get back. Because it is, it is Bayek. There we go. Just trying to. Oh no! Oh no! What's happening? Oh yeah. Stop doing that. I don't know what I'm doing here. There we go. Let's go. That's better. Technical difficulties there. What's that? Flash mood. Ooh. Sorry, you have to. There's so much. This is the problem. There's so much water on the screen. It's going crazy. It's just flicked back through. Load of the there we are. So flash mood. London Stock Exchange sold Borsa Italiana. I haven't seen that. But do send. Oh, I've done it again. Done it again. There we go. There we go. There we go. Oh. There we go. Oh. To tell you what, we'll move on to our question segment today. We'll go early for the old questions. So, if you want to submit a question, Stop Karaoke has just donated €5. Thank you very much. So if you want to ask me a question about politics or whatever, feel free to ask. Sorry, the rain is making it really hard to. Let's get my hood up. Oh, there we go. It's better. What's my shoe size? I'm a 9. How's the CAD runs coming along? Not a lot recently. I haven't really got around to painting them, to be honest, and I need to. But I've recently got the big sky vessel, the ironclad, and I've built that. But again, I need to paint it. I've just got a lot of stuff that needs painting. Although that's one of the sad points this year. I've only ever actually managed to play 40k in Age of Sigmar. I played Sigmar twice this year before lockdown, and I managed to play 40k once when we literally the week before, literally a couple of days before everything went into lockdown, we managed to get to Warhammer World, and I played there, game of 40k, and that's the only game of 40k I've played this year. But other than that, that's been it. And even though I've had lots of time on my hands, like everyone else, I just haven't got around to painting anything. So my pile of shame has grown a bit, unfortunately. However, I've been playing lots of D&D. Me and my friends got into D&D over lockdown, and we've really enjoying it. It's been quite fun. And it's quite social as well. D&D obviously with Zoom and Roll20 and whatnot, and D&D Beyond. Oh, Denmark. Good morning to you there. What's that? Power cut in Kelso. Is that taste of things to come? You know what? Tell you what I do need though. I wish that I had some sort of shoes that were easier to tie. Because I tell you what, I tie these laces, and every single time, no matter how tight I seem to tie them, they just come undone. Hi from the other side of the channel. Hi. You've got rain coming over, by the way. It may already be there for you. But yeah, it's absolutely tipping it down. This is the problem with when I decided to do these morning walks. I did them in the summer, and obviously it wasn't like this. But we might have to. I'm going to have to get some sort of cover for my phone, because there's just water all over my phone here. Oh, there we go. It's not a matter of me tying them. It's every time I tie them and I'm walking, they just come loose, and it's the same shoe as well. You know, my right foot's fine. It's my left. Well, sorry, it's my left foot that's fine. It's my left foot that's fine, but it's my right foot shoe, because that's the fourth time that I've had to tie it, twice on camera and once off. So I don't know if it's just keeps on coming loose, but like I say, it's just very, very annoying. Especially these are like proper walking boots. Because I had a pair of running trainers. Literally last Christmas, I was given them, and over lockdown, I pretty much did this walk every day, as I have continued to do, and I've absolutely ruined them. Absolutely ruined them. How are Brexit negotiations? They're not going anywhere. Nothing's happening. I expect something to happen this week, but it depends how much of a something will happen, because it's Boris Johnson's arbitrary deadline, and quite frankly, two things are going to happen. Either A, he walks away, and if he does, he's an absolute fool, because we are in a really bad recession at the moment because of this, and if he adds a no-deal Brexit on top of that, it's going to tank our economy even more. But, you know, he's been an absolute fool to do that, especially after, you know, running an entire election campaign on having a deal, and that he's being oven ready and ready to go. It'd be an absolute fool to do that. If he does decide to stay at the negotiating table beyond his imposed deadlines, well, then it just shows how weak of a hand he actually has as a, you know, PM of the UK, and then that will just make him look even more weak in the eyes of the Tory party. And of course, that's probably when the Brexiteers will probably decide that it's time to sharpen the knives and get rid. And as we said before, Boris has 3 departure dates: Christmas, or he hangs on till about April, May time and then leaves, or, because Boris is miraculous like this, he somehow manages to survive as PM until the next election. Whether he will do that, I don't know, but you know what, it's Boris, so, you know, don't count him out. And like I say, he's been in lots of scandals and all sorts of stuff over the year that other politicians would have basically lost their career of, or just been cast out of the party, and Boris somehow managed to survive. But there you go. What kind of deal is realistic? Any ideas on how probable it is that the EU countries will veto it? A deal in terms of like being realistic. As I said, there has to be one. Boris has to have one. There is, everyone in number 10 is probably telling Boris that he has to have and get a deal. The problem is that he's got Brexit fanatics and free market fundamentalists at the moment running the show, who are telling him that it'll be fine somehow. Of course, it'll be fine for, you know, the people that have got money, like, you know, Jacob Rees-Mogg. It won't be fine for everyone else in the country. And of course, as I've said multiple times before, I'm waiting for the day of the paper in the headline of "This isn't the Brexit we voted for," and then I'm going to mount it on my wall. Because no one knew the Brexit they were voting for, even though the Leave campaign ran a complete gambit of solutions to this. They've decided to go for the hardest possible Brexit possible, and again, that's not what people voted for, because the Tory party has been taken over by hardcore right-wing free market fundamentalists who are determined to basically just shrink the size of the states in terms of like welfare. That means more privatisation of the NHS, if not privatise it completely. And it should worry a lot of people, because a lot of those people that are sitting on the front bench have openly said that they want to privatise the NHS. So it should worry people hugely that that's the case. Of course, they also want to deprivatise anything. And of course, you may have heard this situation before of Singapore on the Thames. They want to turn the UK into like the biggest tax haven possible, and of course that only benefits the rich, doesn't benefit anyone else living in this country. So there you go. But how realistic is that deal? Well, it all depends on really the Tory party, and I think you're going to see action this week. There has to be something happen this week, because if Boris fails and he gets to Friday and he doesn't walk away or whatever, he looks like an absolute fool. And if he does walk away, then he damages the UK incredibly worse than what it is already. As I said, we are in a deepest recession compared to any other country in the world at the moment, because of the coronavirus, and especially the north and all the areas that voted for Brexit are going to get really badly hit by it. So there's going to be a lot of upset people. And as we said before the election, there's only so many times, especially when you're running like a campaign that is very, quote, anti-parliament. Well, congratulations, Boris, you are now the parliament. You have a massive majority, and there's nothing stopping him from not getting stuff through. And yet he's going to absolutely, crash the wheel. This is one thing that I said at the, back at the post the election day. I said, yeah, Boris might have a massive majority, but that just means that it's just more reason for him to screw up. And screw up in this negotiation he has, because it's just shown, the old Brexiteer quote of "they need us more than we need them" to be absolutely false. And it's amazing how many Brexit supporters I've heard chant that, and it's just showing not to be true. What? Oh dear, my friend, no one trusts the EU. Sorry, but the EU at this point doesn't trust us. We've we've said we're going to honour international treaties, and we don't. But whatever. Be happy in your little fantasy dreamland. Good luck. Who cares? You should care. You live in this country. But yeah, there you go. It's just absolutely, it's absolutely going to be a nightmare, because we've said this before. Economics in this case will not be damned. Every single country in the world trades most with its closest trading partners, and that's the EU. That ain't going to go away. That ain't going to go away at all. They were all crowing about, the EU's not going to come to a budget decision. Yeah, well, guess what? All those countries said how easy it was to get a budget passed, the fact that the UK wasn't there. But so obviously the second part of the question was what countries might veto it. I don't think any of the countries will, to be honest, veto it. The EU has pretty much given Michel Barnier the authority to negotiate on their behalf with the lines that he wants. And Michel Barnier's task has basically been protect the integrity of the single market and the EU. And he has done. That has been their red lines, and they're not going to cross it, because the UK has been constantly pushing this fantasy during these negotiations that somehow the UK deserves some sort of special privileged access to the EU that others don't. But there you go. It's absolute madness. And if Michel Barnier does that, then I can imagine countries like Germany and whatnot maybe getting involved and just vetoing the deal, but there's no other country out there that's going to veto the deal should it be reached. But we're just making complete fools of ourselves. As I said with the whole Japan quote deal, and it isn't a trade deal, it's something else entirely, and we've discussed that before. We've signed up to harder and stricter state aid rules than what the EU is currently proposing, which is what we're refusing to sign up to. It's absolute delusional. And if you want an example of how delusional Brexiteers are, there's someone in chat who is one of those complete delusional people. But there you go. So yeah, we are in a massive sticky wicket, so to say, and expect that there has to be big moves by this weekend, because obviously Friday's Boris's self-imposed deadline. Obviously the EU's is at the end of the month. There has to be something, and even if Boris says, the daft thing is Boris could easily say, because of the current scenario and whatever, we want to extend the transition period. The EU, even though many people said, oh no, they won't do it, the EU probably would. The EU currently has a lot bigger fish to fry, especially with like the recovery of Europe from COVID, than Brexit. And as we've said before on this channel, Brexit just doesn't get on the front page in the EU anymore. It's never been on the front page for quite some significant time. The EU just doesn't care. It's just gone, well, you want to leave, okay, leave. And now we're going, oh, but we want access to the single market. Well, the EU's turned around and gone, okay, well, if you want access to the single market, you have to follow these rules. And we're the ones turning around and said, no, we just want access. We don't want to follow the rules because of the free market fundamentalists and the fanatical deregulators that are currently in Parliament. I'll tell you what. There we go. I've just put him in timeout. You see, that's what happens with these with people like this guy. You can't. What's that? Yeah, exactly. It's people like that who, the fanatical Brexit supporters, that regardless of what happens to the UK, regardless of what the disaster that is about to happen and probably befall us, will just keep on chanting the Brexit slogan again and again and again, because they've been absolutely brainwashed completely. And he's probably going to change to another account, so expect to see him soon. Like I say, if not, as soon as he comes back, I'm just going to put him another timeout. So well, I think that even though we've had a bit of a break in the rain now, the clouds have parted, the rain has gone, and miraculously it did it as soon as I hit the timeout on our little Brexity troll there. But yes, thank you for joining me again on another good morning walk. It's been absolutely fantastic. Dog there behind me, I didn't realise was coming through. Another one. Yes, thank you for joining me. It's been absolutely fantastic. Again, we do these every Saturday morning, weather permitting, I think, going forwards. So I will let you know if there is going to be one, either on the Friday night before or the Saturday morning. I will let you know. But please do hit that like button. Please do hit that share button. If you are new, please do hit that subscribe button. We do talk about British politics and of course Brexit on this channel because they are inseparable and will be inseparable for some time to come. Trust me, even though Brexit has, quote, happened, this is just the beginning of the beginning. So we haven't even started on this roller coaster that's about to happen yet. So buckle up. Things are about to get interesting, especially this week. So also, thank you to the patrons that I currently have. If you'd like to become my Patreon, there is a link down below. There is also a one-off donation link as well, should you like to support me that way, called Buy Me a Coffee. So, you know, I can warm my cockles after this walk. And of course, as always, if you can't be safe, be sensible, have a fantastic weekend, enjoy yourselves. You know, I was going to say get out there, but don't get out there. You know, get back in, stay in, you know, fire up Netflix. If you've got Disney Plus, watch Disney Plus. You know, if you don't have Disney Plus, don't watch Disney Plus. Onward, the new Pixar film is on Disney Plus. I watched that this week and it is quite good, surprisingly. As a fantasy film, I was expecting it to be a bit hit and miss. They are sometimes, especially from that perspective sometimes, but it was an incredible film. And it had a really good message as well, which I think is definitely something doesn't get talked about a lot, which is a lot about loss and sort of, you know, even though you've lost someone, they're never gone forever, and of course the importance of, you know, family, and it's just a general all good film. So go watch Onwards. Other than that, yes, thank you. It's been an absolute corker of a walk, a lot wetter than I was expecting. So go out, well, don't go out. Stay in, watch Netflix, watch Disney Plus, fire up your Xboxes, fire up your PCs, go play something on Steam. I'm going to be playing Red Dead Redemption probably this week. Yeah, Trump can't probably survive another 4 years, even if he did get in. Oh, but that would be a disaster in itself. But I'm talking again. I'm talking again. Yes, drink. If you are in this weekend, go and get some beer or order it in. Don't go out. Do go out to get some beer, but then deny that you went out to get some beer. And of course, I'm terrible at ending streams. So, have an absolute wonderful weekend. Yes, Ghost of Tomb. Yes, that's one I want to play, but I think it's only on the PS4, and I only have a PC. I'm a filthy PC master racer. So, please do have an absolute wonderful weekend, and we'll see you all next week for a good morning walk. If not, we'll see you, I suppose, at some point this week on the channel. So with that, have a good weekend, my friends. Have a good one.